Hey, Ned. This is Never Ending Adventure. I'm Russell, an Adventure Time podcast. How's it going, Ned?
And I'm DJ Netty P coming at you live at the Adventure Time podcast.
I'm just feeling, like I've got this card game and Allie won't play it with me. And I was just curious. I mean, would you? No, it's stupid. Don't worry about it. I mean, if you're wondering what it is, I mean, not that you're asking, but it's this fantasy card game that's super complicated and awesome. But it is kind of stupid, and it's for nerds. It's for people that don't have a life and outside of the nerd universe. So don't even worry about it, Ned.
All right,
it's fine. It's just Card Wars. That's all it is. It's just Card Wars.
It's just Card Wars. Just two brothers. Card Wars.
Two brothers playing Card Wars.
Playing Card Wars.
Well, if you haven't guessed,
if you haven't guessed, we're talking about Card Wars today. Which that's why my intro to this podcast was super pumped, because I don't know why. I fucking love this episode. It's so good.
Why wouldn't you? It's awesome. It's everything you want out of. Well, first of all, you love your In the Treehouse episodes, as we all know, but also
I'm telling you, I love Treehouse episodes. I don't know why.
It's just everything, dude. This is going to be such a nerdy episode. And if you're not ready for a very nerdy episode of this podcast, then you can leave. I'm sorry. Just get out of here.
If you're not going to slap some Summon Archer Dan on this episode, then you can get the hell out of here.
We're going deep into the nerd universe, and the Ned universe. And Ned
universe.
Yeah, I know, right?
I was gonna mention your intro over here, guys. The best preface for this episode is the fact that, Russell's whole I guess I just have these cards. We had a moment, and it was probably, was it early COVID or was it pre-COVID?
Before that.
Yeah,
it was the final frontier. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I know is it was the final frontier into nerddom. It was the last thing I was holding on to, the thing that I wanted to do least in the world. I had already played Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, the one thing that keeps me out of that category is this one card game that I hadn't played. I had no reason to play it. And then, of course, one day Ned comes walking up to me and doing his typical Ned. I'll do a Ned impression real fast. Hey, you want to play Card Wars with me? Sorry, Magic the Gathering with me?
I think my response to Russell. So I had a moment, it's kind of pre-COVID, I guess, where it was just like, hey man, guys have it rough, okay? Guys want to hang out with guys, and we don't always want to drink with each other. We don't always want to, but it's always weird. You can't really just invite a guy friend over and just be like, would you like to have a spaghetti dinner and watch a movie together? It's not always necessarily appropriate, but I was like, what can guys do that doesn't involve just watching sports or going out to a bar and drinking?
Well, this is pre-boys night. Let me just let everybody know. This is pre-boys night being a thing, before I had realized what an amazing thing a boys night could be.
Boys nights, good nights.
Boys nights are good nights.
But so I was like, well, board games are fun, and video games are fun, but there hadn't been a lot of great co-op video games that have been out there recently. I don't know. It was kind of actually before the Switch days too. So there wasn't any Switch to be played. So I was like, I want to play a card game that's not just 52 card deck, normal card game. So I was like, screw it. I want to get into something good. And I was like, Magic the Gathering. Let's just dive in. Did some YouTube videos one night, got really deep into it, bought us 2 starter decks. And I was like, Russell, bought us 2 starter decks. This one is yours. Let's just learn to play so we can have something to do.
Of all your friends to ask, of course it was me. He went to me because I'm the nerdy one for sure.
My intro to you is very similar to Jake's in this scenario, where I was like, well, I've got this,
box of cards. I went and bought this box of cards.
And I was like, it was a super cool card game. And, are you nervous to play it because only guys that have never seen the sun are like interested in playing? But your response was similar to Finn's response in this world, is that you were like,
yeah, I was like, sure.
Yeah, I know it's for nerds, but I'm down to play, because I think you were in the same boat. Like we just had nights where we would just go and like drink some whiskey at the house and then play Magic the Gathering for like 4 hours, you know?
I mean, it just kind of replaced our going to Mafiosos for 2 for Tuesdays.
Exactly. Well, with
the
Mafiosos nights included me consuming 2,400 calories of just pizza. So
we had to stop that.
A relatively healthy alternative to this. So
well, I even just wanted to dive a little into the different card games that we probably have played in our past outside of Magic the Gathering. Because of course that's the main one. I think that's the first card game, right? Like 1993, Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering,
I think it was even before
TCG.
That. Was it? I thought it was like maybe like 87 or 88.
Maybe. You might be thinking of D&D. But regardless, then you have
you're right, 93.
The one that was really popular for us was, of course, Pokemon TCG, but we didn't battle. I didn't battle. I don't even know to this day how to battle. Yeah, we were too young. I think at that point we were just like, hey, this card looks awesome. I want that card. I'm trading you this card that probably would be worth a lot of money right now because Gengar is my favorite for some reason. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
Oh, I definitely gave away some cards that had to have been worth like hundreds of dollars now, just to like friends where like, I like your green cards better than my blue cards.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame. I wish I could go back and snag. I mean, the 2 Blastoise that I lost, and then also the Venusaur holograph that I lost. Mm-hmm. One of them was my dad bought it for me for my birthday, so I could only imagine that Blastoise card was like one of the first ones. I don't know. He let this spoil me with Pokemon stuff.
Well, that was the thing, is like, I don't know how, like, mine are out there somewhere. My mom can't find them. We've been digging for them for years. They're going to pop up here in the next like 10 years. And I know that like several years, I know we're probably in like 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade when they weren't first editions, but like we were for sure getting them as birthday gifts when those first edition decks were out. Like without a doubt in my mind.
At least the Shadowless. But so the next one that came by that swept the nation was, of course, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mm-hmm. And as a North America kid, I mean, I was obsessed with the WB Kids WB show, right? That anime was Yu-Gi-Oh!
Everything. I'm not gonna lie. Well, I'm not gonna call it a better show than Pokemon, but like, man, it was a little more action packed. It was a little more intense.
It was more mature. It was meant for the kids that grew up with Pokemon and were ready for something that was slightly more mature and that were about to go into middle school or were in middle school, right? And Yu-Gi-Oh! Was that thing. I tried to pick it back up not too long ago, and to be honest with you, Ned, it's just overly complicated now. Like, I got so annoyed with these synchro monsters, and this was a few years back, but like there's the synchro and then just other monster effects. I mean, you're reading a paragraph of text and then having to memorize like every little thing. It's not even worth it.
Yeah,
it's too big of a barrier.
It sounded like it started too simple maybe, and then they tried to go like, we can complicate it like Magic the Gathering, but that involved like now a paragraph of information per card.
I don't think they did a good job. And I think the average game length in like competitive play too is really, really short. So I have no interest in that anyways, because my play style is I'm going to sit here and think about my strategy. Which,
trust me, I know that's why our Magic the Gathering games would last like 2.5 hours.
I'm sorry, but it's just how I play. I feel like I'm a good strategic thinker, but I like to process everything, and it takes me a minute sometimes.
I feel you. Well, no,
I did go like 6-0 against you though with your cards, I will say.
You had some good runs. I built some bad decks for a while there, and you had one solid deck that I had. It took me a long time to build one to beat you without.
Yeah, I had a lot more Yu-Gi-Oh background than you did though, so I think that played into it. I played for
definitely.
years.
I went full aggro to start, and full aggro being aggressive decks do not stack up against kind of long build.
And also Hearthstone. That was the other thing I think that I played.
You did Hearthstone,
you
did RuneScape, you did everything. RuneScape is different, but
okay, I'm a nerd. I get it. Magic was the last thing I was holding on to. But anyways, the Card Wars, there's actually a mobile app. I don't know. Have you ever played it? I've never played the mobile app of Card Wars.
I tried it a long time ago. So there is a mobile app and there is a physical card game as well. The mobile app, I think I downloaded a long time ago, and it started out feeling like a weird game where it's like every time you play, you can kind of get upgraded cards. And it was kind of, it felt a little bit just like kitschy with like like you can only start with like the basic cards. And like the more you play, maybe you'll get better cards. Also, the more you pay, you'll get better cards. And in a mobile game, I was kind of like, this doesn't feel like just jumping in and playing like fun card wars. Like this is more of like, you play through different levels and then you can play through 50 different levels. So maybe it's different now because this was for sure like years ago. But I did look, and as soon as I Googled it today, I was like, there's a physical card game. So can I get a drum roll, Russell? Can you drum roll for me here?
I'll do my Wookiee impression. Sorry.
Not a drum roll, but you should have a 2-player deck of physical Card Wars cards arriving at your house.
Oh
next week.
Gosh.
I ordered them for you
brand
today.
New car.
Brand new. We're all getting new cards.
That's why you asked about. I was so curious. Me and Allie were like, Ned just asked for my address. I'm like, is he redoing his vows?
You're getting the deck was called BMO versus Lady Rainicorn. So
okay.
What I want you to do, I wanted to turn the tables of me getting into Magic and then getting you into it. I wanted to flip the script and you and Allie do a Card Wars introduction and then get me into it.
Yeah, I'll let you know if it's good. I've got some. I mean, at the end of this episode, we'll go through what we liked about Card Wars as a TCG, and also what we liked about this episode about a TCG. And I'm curious to see how it holds up in real life versus what we're seeing on this TV show episode.
And that's where now, as we're 12 minutes into the podcast. So thank you, those who hung in there talking with our tangents about cards and nerddom. We just had to preface how awesome this episode is. The episode starts. We got Finn eating a snack, taking a nap on the couch. Classic treehouse, right? And then Jake comes in.
A super vibe.
Just a great vibe. Sandwiches and naps are my vibe.
Just chopping down 2 Sandies and drinking some orange drink. That is my life. I love that.
Well, and then our super fans out there, we can't go without mentioning he's drinking from the cup of many ales. That's what it says in the Nordic runes on the cup. And in my opinion, that's why he's not drinking out of it. He pours it into a glass. I think it's an actual mug that never runs out of liquid.
That's good. I like that. That's awesome.
I think we talked about that was probably season. Gosh, it's been once other time in the show, but we've talked about it earlier in this season. So good little moment there. Sets the vibe for the episode in terms of like, what are we doing today? And it's going to be like staying inside and not going on like a crazy adventure, which I think is a good like way to set the tone too.
But the animation, despite that, is still fantastic. And maybe it's like easy to do the holographic stuff or hologram stuff is unreal. I mean, that's what sold me on this episode. As soon as they open up the mats, right, and they start laying cards, they floop the pig and they floop their laying cards or whatever.
And and like a little physical thing like appears. Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say is like, it'd be so cool with all of these card games. And this does it in a way. I'm sure there's like mobile apps do it, but it's not quite as cool. But if you could play a tabletop game where when you set a card down, something appeared on the table. And when you tap your land, it's, if it was all of that where you're not counting up life points and counting up mana and counting up attack points deducted against defense points and all that's automated. That's kind of like what this game does in the show. Yeah.
Well, I was so curious, man, because just starting out, one of my first questions was, you have Lady Rainicorn, who apparently doesn't play card games with Jake anymore. BMO's not playing with Jake anymore because, also BMO's my lovely, because why would he not be? He's amazing. He does a freaking kickflip.
I saw, BMO kickflip is sick in this episode.
It's so sick. I think he does it twice. No, he does it once. And then also the BMO chop is just unreal, right? Like if this were a real attack, you'd be dead. And BMO is such a lovely. He's so incredible in this episode. But regardless, my question, Ned, was do you and Jackie still play Magic? Because I remember at one point you were like, I'm gonna play Magic with Jackie.
No, I tried.
Okay, good luck.
I still once every about 3 months tell her like, when are we going to play? And she's like, I'll play with you. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not going to play. Well, I have a hard time trying to get her to play chess with me. And it's the same thing. There was a thing right when we got married, we got a chessboard as one of our wedding gifts.
It's the monopoly of 2-player board games.
Yeah. And she had not played in years. So I was reteaching her how to play chess. And I was like, and we played for 10 minutes and I was like, I won the first game. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, you beat me. I don't want to play anymore. And I was like, dude. So Jackie gets a little competitive, which is why I don't think she'd enjoy Magic in general, but
now you get competitive too, though, man. I mean,
not to the extent where I don't want to play anymore, though. I've never been like, I don't want to play again with you,
But I was thinking, comparing me and you and how we play Magic to these two characters. I gotta say, man, I don't know. You may feel the same way from your perspective about me, but I'm like, I feel like Finn because I would antagonize you and I would do the corn is stupid, I don't know. I would just antagonize you while we play or whatever, and then you would get so irritated and then be like, no. That's not the right rule. And then we'd have to Google all these rules about Magic.
Yeah. Well, I think that was what drove me crazy more than anything was there's so many of the minute rules where I was like, I don't think this is the way this worked, but we all had to sit there and Google everything that we did if it was allowed and how it worked, which was very annoying.
We're both competitive. So I could see us both being Jake in a way, but I got to Google the rules side of you. Maybe I was like, maybe I was the Finn antagonizing that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe it got under my skin because it was like, you would do that after making me wait 6.5 minutes to do a turn. And I'd be waiting and I'm trying to do my turn. And then I'm like, damn it, I have a whole turn. And now you're going to make me Google if you could do something on here. So you definitely did a good job.
Most times I could.
Half the time you could.
Oh, man. Well, I love that. I don't know. And it's so weird that Finn doesn't know the side of Jake. He's sitting there. Dude, they live together. How do you not know the side of him? He didn't beat the BMO for a month for crying out loud,
Well, that's what I was going to say is that we've had so many Jake moments in the show where we've talked about Jake being chill and Jake being the laid back one and Jake being the nonchalant one that lets the adventures play out. This is, probably not the first time we've seen Jake get obviously over emotional about something, but the fact that he is this intense about card wars, but when you've got people dying, he's like, I'm going to sit this one out,
Oh, that's so real too. That's funny, man. I was just thinking, your Magic the Gathering is my Super Smash Brothers. We don't tangent, but that's my tangent is that I get way too personal and way too frustrated with N64 Smash. Regardless. Back to Card Wars. Sorry, no tangents. I'm not trying to tangent. I'm the dweeb in this episode of this podcast, probably. And I definitely would eat or drink that drink. I love a good food challenge for whatever reason.
Hi, what's your worst food challenge? What's your worst dweeb drink you've ever done?
Oh man, I don't even know. I'd have to say in elementary school, you constantly would be challenged to come up with some sort of a concoction.
You said elementary. Bro, we were doing that in freaking high school. We were just like, oh dude, I put mashed potatoes in my blue Powerade.
Can you outgross your friends? Yeah, that's classic.
I don't know if we had, what was it called? Ham chunk juice. That was the last ingredient that went in there. Okay, but let's talk about this too. Let's talk about how Jake was like, okay, here's the terms of our bet. Here's the terms of our wager.
Yeah.
The loser's the dweeb, the winner's the cool guy. And Finn goes, yeah, I'll agree to those terms. And then Jake just flips the script and just like, yeah, the dweeb drinks out of the dweeb cup, which I made a just nasty ass drink with.
Total soda, coffee grounds, beetle butter, grape jelly, kimchi, and ham chunk juice. That's so nasty, man. I would love to try it.
I was about to say, I do have kimchi in my fridge. And there's a few other things. I don't know if we could do beetle butter. I'm trying to think. There's a couple we could recreate the dweeb juice and put it in a video.
Is it after or before 2 hours of explaining? I mean, Finn falls asleep. 2 hours of rules. And that's the issue with like any good board game. I feel like maybe not every good board game, but a lot of them that I love take forever. And they are like agonizing to listen to and try and figure things out. And the problem with a card game that's that complicated is it takes so much time, trial and error to find optimal strategies. I can't imagine how Finn was able to come up, go sleep through all the rules and go, oh, it's just common sense. I can play this game all day. Like, what are you doing? Like, starts antagonizing Jake. I don't know how he learned that. What was it? The teleporting thing? He's like, you can't teleport anyone that's not your guy. And I was like, how do you know that? You just slept for 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, there's some things of just like, if you played it, if there was a teleport card that you could play, you'd be like, you can't just teleport my characters wherever you want to. Like, yeah, that doesn't seem logical. I'm with Finn on that though, where like, not that I'm gonna like sleep through the rules or anything, but if I'm trying to like learn a game, I'm more just like, okay, like let me lose 2 games so I can learn it, and like let's just play, because the more you explain it, the actual like more I'm not going to understand it. I'm very much like a learn by doing person, and so I get Finn on that, and then yeah, there's a lot of games like that where even the strategy aspect, you're like, yeah, that's logic. That's logic if you like stack up your defense that you're never going to get hit with anything, you know?
Yeah, but it's kind of like Pokemon logic where you're like, yes, of course, fire defeats grass. I get that. But then like, why is fairy better than dragon? I don't understand that one. Or why is ground strong against steel? I guess
I mean, that's kind of like, that's a little, well, that's kind of like Finn flooping the pig and not really realizing that flooping the pig would destroy the corn. Finn was just like, no, the card just says I can do it, so I'm going to do it. I don't think Finn realized that was going to like save his ass on that turn, you know?
Flooping the pig is not the tops, but that is, I love that.
Let's
like,
just say because
that through line.
I flipped the pig.
Yeah, because it's just like a trap card, right? Like he's leaving a monster on the board as well. So I kind of remember like the man-eater bug from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is what I...
Oh, no. Well, I was going to say, do you guys remember there's a video out there of these guys playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In like a video game, VR Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh, yeah. And the guy... just constantly, he's just like, okay, my turn.
Pot of greed.
I play Pot of Greed to draw one additional
card. Cards.
And he just keeps trolling, and the guy in the background's like, you can't do it on the same turn.
I can't. So there's a funny joke about Yugi, but I can't remember what it is. Yeah, I love that video.
My recommendation this week was Magic the Gathering, but my second one is gonna be
that
go
video.
Watch that. Go type in Pot of Greed on YouTube, and it will show up.
We'll have to watch it during our commercial break, and maybe it's time for that, Ned. I gotta go boy style to the boy style room, anyways. So
the boy style room. You gotta go powder your butthole. Introducing the most epic and ridiculous game you'll ever play, Card Wars. Come join us down at the Candy Kingdom Card Collectors Emporium and Battle Card Arena in a tournament for the ages. Will you come out victorious or be banished to the dungeon of the Dweebs? Each card in Card Wars is more ridiculous than the last. From ninjas that shoot laser beams out of their eyes to unicorns that shit glitter, there's no telling what kind of madness will come your way. But that's what keeps the game so exciting. And let's not forget about the legendary sandwich card. One bite of that and your opponents will be left in a state of confusion so profound that they won't know what hit them. But Card Wars isn't about absurdly hilarious cards. It's also a game of strategy. You'll need to outsmart your opponents, plan your moves carefully, and never underestimate the power of a well-placed fart joke. So grab your bacon-flavored snacks, your rainbow-colored cards, and get down to the Candy Kingdom Card Collectors Emporium and Battle Card Arena. And it's time to play Card Wars, the game so weird that it's actually cool.
Welcome back. I mean, this might be a little redundant at this point. Y'all have heard this time and time again. I mean, we're late to the party, but Ned, you just told me, where did you get that commercial from? Was it from your brain, from your dome?
It was not from my Chrome Dome. Y'all, that was an ad that I was like, man, I wish I could write a really cool ad for Card Wars. And so today was my first day of playing around with ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT to write me a really cool advertisement for Card Wars. And then I asked it to do a more ridiculous ad for Card Wars, and that's what came out of it. So
that's so crazy.
Hey, man, I thought it was great. And let's be real. My delivery on that one was what made it great, right? You know,
yeah.
That's really what it was.
What's going to happen is soon, we've never done like a scripted episode necessarily, but pretty soon here, we'll just type in like, make a Russell and Ned do a Adventure Time podcast episode.
We'll have an AI bot listen to 100 episodes of our podcast and then write the rest of them for us.
We could just take that like really popular voice from TikTok and just have her voice do the entire podcast for us. So we're replaced. We're done. It's over.
We're done. We just replaced ourselves.
Yeah, we just replaced ourselves.
I dug our own grave, Russell.
We were talking during the commercial too. Like, if y'all are curious what a Patreon episode might look like for Never Ending Adventure in the near or not so distant future, this vibe is what I'm imagining having for every episode of that, because it'll be less planned. It'll be more of just us hanging out and talking. But we'll get there when we get there.
Honest, y'all didn't want us to play by play this entire episode. No. But everybody's seen this episode. There's really nothing super deep in it besides like my lesson. I'll give my lesson early this week. It's don't be a dick. Dang. Like that's the lesson, is like legitimately you're going to introduce something to a friend. Like, don't be a dick about it. Like that's a simple enough lesson. There's nothing deeper in this episode.
I mean, mine is always floop the pig. If there's anything I learned, always floop the pig. Why would you not floop the pig?
You never asked me my lovely either. My lovely was the pig.
It's the pig. Yeah.
It was the pig in this episode. Absolutely.
He's just hanging out. What was the sacred or the sanctitude or wherever he goes and hangs out for a bit?
The Cave of Solitude.
The Cave of Solitude. I couldn't find it on my notes. Yes. That was such a great moment.
Yeah, man. I'm going to send the pig to the Cave of Solitude to take a nap. He's tired.
Take a nap. Yeah.
I wish I was like, I did love, although it does seem like the cards in the episode have very much like a mind of their own, or like, they follow the rules of what's written on the cards. I like that it kind of seemed like even the actions of the holograms were kind of dictated by the players. Because it was like, oh yeah, and then like I floop the Wizard Scholar to go start studying for a little while,
Yeah. It doesn't say what for, but certainly like in his mind, he knows what he's going to be studying. So
yeah, exactly. So that leads to a good question. So like, I wouldn't say a top favorite card in this episode is maybe an interesting topic, but like either that or like top favorite like dynamic of the game in this episode, or top favorite card.
I think we'll go into that. I mean, I was going to mention, even though, that my tops is kind of that moment, again, the facial expression, the way that Finn's antagonizing Jake. Dude. When he said, what did you expect? It's all your power units are coming from corn. Pigs eat corn, dude. Cornfields stink. And he's just high up on his face, zoomed in. I love that, man.
I love that you mentioned that, because my tops of this episode was the animation of both of their facial reactions. And it would not
so dynamic.
It would not be as a dynamic or engaging as an episode unless you had those like little moments where Finn had like, 4 different chins and his eyes were like squinting, because both of them, the facial expressions were like why they were antagonizing the other one just with what they were saying. So I thought it was such a good way to physically express the narrative in a cartoon show, was just the animation itself. So props to them for like really nailing that aspect.
I've got a lot of favorite cards, man. I mean, even we talked a little bit about the Cave of Solitude a second ago, where the pig goes and takes a nap. And I mean, in my opinion, Finn decides not to attack in that turn. And that is one of the scariest moments of any card battling like scenario, when you're playing somebody and they have this obvious play, this obvious attack, and they don't take it. That gives me chills. I'm just like, what are you thinking? What are you planning? What do you have on the board?
You used to do that to me all the time, though.
I know. I mean, it's a great strategy, because it's like you got these trap cards, or you get cards that are non-flooped, and you're just waiting. You're just ready for it.
It brings the aspect of bluffing into a game like this. Like, are they bluffing?
Yeah.
Like,
face it, Ned. I'm the cool guy.
I'm the kook. Yeah, well, I'm the one that brought Magic into this relationship, so I guess I will take 100% the responsibility of being the dweeb.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, then, yeah, you'd be the dweeb. I was going to give you the cool guy, but I'm glad I don't have to.
No, I'll take the dweeb. I brought Magic into your life.
Well, man, another card I loved was the volcano. It acts like a dark hole. Jake flips volcano, and the dark hole from Yu-Gi-Oh! It destroys everything on the field, and he just happens to have a reclaim landscape spell, which constitutes his entire cornfield.
The only thing that bugged me, and it was very much like the Pot of Greed video, is that I feel like Jake continually plays reclaim landscape, and I was like, either like when cards are discarded or when they happen, like
how many of those does he have?
In most card games, like when you play a card or anything that's like a magic or an instant card or an enchantment, it goes into your graveyard as soon as you play it. And then Jake just throws out reclaim landscape like 4 times in this game. And I'm like, dude, either you have 17 of those in your deck or that's just a weird aspect of this game.
Yeah, maybe it's something that his deck has. It's just some sort of a attribute that the corn landscape has. I don't know. I thought that was interesting too. But like in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think you can only play 3 or have 3 of the same cards. I think Magic too, right? You can only have 3 of the exact same card in your deck at one time.
Oh, there's sometimes you can play Magic rules where it's like you can't have a single dupe in your deck at all. But the other thing I could say about the reclaim, it's either that or, like in a lot of these games at the re-beginning of your turn, all your lands, all your mana, your lands come back as well. They're not all tapped or whatever. And so I was like, maybe that's like the whole, like everybody has a reclaim landscape at the beginning of their turn. Something like that. Okay. I don't know.
I think my favorite card has to be the one that Jay doesn't say anything for. He just, for whatever reason, at the very end of the battle, when Finn decides to take on the man and his pick still defeats the man, but then gets stuck in the mud, right? Yeah. Jake says nothing and summons this two-scythed monster that essentially acts like a change of hearts and just gets
sucks the souls out of all of the characters on Finn's side of the board. It just
and then they walk over to his
their
side.
Souls, yeah.
I don't know. That's got to be the most OP card. Though all of these cards truly, and this is something I'll get into when I'm talking about like what I like about this as a TCG. Like every card feels like it has so much potential. Like every card could change the game. Like perhaps that's why there's no like sacrificing in this game, or you don't have to build up mana over time before you start summoning monsters. It's just a matter of like, I want to play this card and I'm going to do it. And every single card, even the pig, has the capability of changing the game. And you just have to be on top of it constantly. And it kind of takes away the problem with like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, and I'm sure Pokemon as well, is that when you draw your 5 cards at the beginning of the game, you could get a bad hand. You could have a bad hand. You could have only late monsters or only mana cards. It could really kill your strategy, right? So
and that's
in this game, everything matters.
That's true. That's true. However, I also think that, okay, Jake's obsessed with the corn deck, right? Jake loves the corn deck itself. And I think that Jake's built himself a really badass deck. But obviously, Lady Rainicorn won't play against him anymore. So that means that Lady Rainicorn has probably beat him in the past. BMO beat him in the past. And now Finn beat him. I think that Jake is very invested in the deck he's built. And he's never drawn a good hand. It's like he's got a couple of trump cards in there, which I looked back at my notes. Field Reaper, the one that sucks the souls out with the 2 scythes. I think that maybe that's his trump card. And he's sitting there and he loses every game because he's built a deck built around like trump cards. Yeah,
he's just addicted to that happening. Like because I get that. I get that way with card games. Like with Yu-Gi-Oh, for instance. I had a water deck. And I was so dragon. Committed. Well, Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is not a competitive monster anymore, my man. I'm sorry. No. I had this water deck, right, where basically I could, if I drew the right cards, I could summon a certain even bigger monster, and it would get rid of, it would kind of like a dark hole and get rid of half of the field or his side of your opponent's side of the field, and then it would summon itself, or it would be the only thing last remaining. But in order to do that, like you kind of got to get lucky, and then you just get stuck in this. I want this deck because when that happens, it just feels so good and it's so epic. And
you're living
Exodia,
on a you're living on that hypothetical like high moment. It's gonna be so great. Yeah, I feel that because I've
built one or two decks. That's what it is.
What it do, Yugi?
What it do, Yugi?
Oh man. Well, I can say that weirdly enough, I kind of pulled some facts around. They actually pulled the attack defense of all the cards in this game too. So as we're talking about favorites, that weirdly enough, the most powerful one besides Field Reaper, which was not shown of his like attack and defense, so that could have been the OP card. That Immortal Maze Walker, when Jake does play Immortal Maze Walker and he gets 3 times attack, he was a 5/5 card. And so the Corn makes him a 15 attack, 5 defense card, which is definitely the most OP card on the field at that point.
Certainly power-wise, but it doesn't even matter when Finn has an Ancient Scholar that's been studying to raise the dead ability, and then raises the pig, and then Finn floops the pig, which he doesn't even have to do on his turn, and then it goes eats all the corn.
Yeah, well, I think you can kind of tell that Finn's deck with the tower, what was it called? The Spirit Tower? Something like that. I can't remember, Spirit Tower, something like that.
Yeah.
The Finn's deck is definitely a spell deck, and Jake's deck is definitely like not necessarily aggro, but what you would call what do you call it? And like not an enchantment deck. I can't remember, but essentially where all of your attacks and defense and all that stuff is buffed by the fact that you're a specific like color. So the fact that everything is corn means that everything gets buffed because it is corn. So it's like a stacking deck like that.
Man, I can't believe he had a corn deck. That's a con for me for reasons why I don't want to play Card Wars.
Is that your Jake mistake? Is that he chose corn?
No, it's not a mistake. I mean, the mistake is that he's a sore loser. He's a sore winner and a sore loser. Is that he's Jake. He's the most punchable character for sure. It's Jake.
Oh yeah, I had him as my most punchable easily.
Yeah, he flips out, man, when Finn has the advantage, and he is antagonizing. So Finn, it's kind of on you as well. But he's so aggressive to Finn, and he holds him up. You know, when he gets giant, he's like, "You play."
Yeah, like, that's like the moment where it's like I would have walked. If anybody did that to me, I'd be like, I'm done, dude. I'm freaking done. I'm out of here.
Well, to the point, Finn's like, I'm going to lose. I'll lose on purpose. That's fine. Like, whatever. I don't care. It's a card game.
And that's what makes me think. I'm trying to think like poor Lady Rainicorn. Like we always talk about how she's like never around either. And I was like, I hope that Jake spends some time with Lady Rainicorn. And I hope that the time they spend together is not just him being a total Card Wars asshole to her either.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, man. It's so funny because Finn, he even calls himself, what is this? A Super Amadeus, Card Wars Super Amadeus, which
Card Wars
I had to look
Super
up what that was. It's
like an
Amadeus Mozart.
Yeah.
So
have you not watched
he's the Mozart of Card Wars.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Like, maybe he's hyping himself up a little bit too much, but good. The other thing is like, man, that's a weird post-apocalyptic thing to reference, Finn, an Amadeus Mozart. Unless they have some really good vinyl records.
They might.
Have you never watched that? You never watched that movie Amadeus?
No.
We did this was back in like elementary school music days. Our
is
music
that the
teacher
Amadeus? Do I want to know my
that's close. Yeah. You know, ABBA is definitely close to Mozart. It's kind of like a biopic movie about the life of Mozart. It's great. Okay. I think I need to go back as an adult and rewatch it again, but that's definitely why I picked up. He was basically, I'm pretty sure he was pretty much like an autistic child that had like an insane gift, and they figured it out early on, and like that's all he did from like age 2 on.
Yeah. Well, here's something that I love, Ned. when we're getting toward the end of this and Jake wins and he rubs Finn's face in the board game, Finn could have reacted in a terrible way, right? But instead, he kind of does what Jake had done back in What Was Missing when he calls everybody talentless hacks and he freaks out on them and then everybody kind of giggles. It lightens the mood. Marcy and Princess Bubblegum kind of forget about their conflict a little bit and they're like, oh, we'll stay and have ramen. Like, that's fine. So this happens with Finn, though, where he drinks the Dweeb cup and then he enjoys it and then plays a prank on Jake. Mm-hmm. And he does a really, really good job of going, look, this is a serious thing. Like, my buddy was freaking out, but I don't want to make this situation like worse than it has to be. And we're still roommates. I got to live with this guy. Let's just like move on from this. And I'm going to make the tension disperse a little bit by distracting everybody and bringing it to this cup of grossness that we're going to enjoy together.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely that. And it's absolutely, but I don't think it's done necessarily out of like a defense mechanism per se. But it's kind of, I think it is Finn's just going like, obviously Jake cares a lot about this. So I'm not going to do anything that makes him like think that I don't care about it. I'm not going to like sit here and call him stupid. I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, man, like it's cool. Like whatever, win your stupid game and like make him feel bad about playing the game with him. Because I'm sure Finn will want to play it. But if Finn reacted that way to losing and still played a joke on Jake, that you would assume that would set them up to play another game in the future where Jake wouldn't react so aggressively. You know, just being like, oh, like Finn will play this game with me and I can win and he'll drink the dweeb juice and like, well, we can move on. I think that like Finn just understands that setting that like precedence on ending the game like this is going to be what makes them not just cordial like that evening, but cordial playing it again one day.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I could totally see that. I mean, for what it's worth, in my list of things that I liked about Card Wars as a TCG, the fact that it can destroy friendships is a pro for me.
So, well, that's how you know it's legit. It's not legit unless it can destroy.
Video game, every good board game can destroy friendships. I mean, Catan, Smash Brothers, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Like the greats all have that ability to just make you be more competitive about building railroads than you should be. You know, I've understood it with Mafia. I've understood it with Magic. I've understood it with Monopoly. I've never understood it with Catan. And I'm sorry to all my Catan fans out there. I don't hate the game. I don't dislike it. I'll play it, but like I do not get people getting up in arms. Like a game, especially where there's strategy, but there's also like dice rolling, like kind of the game. Like same with Monopoly. Like when there's dice rolling and chance involved, like you can't get like that competitive. In my opinion, I disagree, man. I think Catan
I do it
has
with Mario
so much
Party
strategy.
because
I love it.
It's like ironic. Like I'll get like ironically mad.
But Mario Party is all about luck. You literally have 2 stars at the end of the game that are built in about luck.
Exactly. That's why I think it's fun to get ironically mad. And then I think people, like every time I play Catan, like people are like ironically, I think they're ironically into it and they're like actually into it. And I'm like, whoa, I thought this was
I get real into Catan.
I thought we were just sticking wheat and bricks in my asshole. Like, I don't know.
I got real mad at my stepmom one time when we were playing Catan.
No, I can say the one that outside of like TCGs, that gets me on the Jake level, like you play, is Phase 10. I don't know if you guys played Phase 10, but oh my Lanta. That's the one where like you can, it's kind of more like a game. It's like more complicated Uno. That also like the full game lasts like 2 to 3 hours. So it's a very interesting like dynamic and concept, but I've seen a grown man like throw a chair across the room when I was like 10 years old playing Phase 10.
Oh my gosh. No. Dang.
So that's a good one. That's yeah. If you don't want to go in that full TCG nerd universe and you want to have a good family game night where you can make your father disown you, Phase 10 is a good one.
Well, let's go through what my likes and dislikes of TCG or Card Wars as a TCG real fast. What I haven't hit
me with it.
So first off, the game starts with you building your kingdom, which I really enjoy. It's Catan-esque, talking about, I love Catan. It's also Pokemon.
The prep phase.
The prep phase, yeah. You start out, you're building something that is strategic to you, and you're like planning ahead based off of the thing that you begin with. And I like that in a board game. I like that in Pokemon Master Trainer. You're choosing your starter and you're planning out where you're going to go. That's a Pokemon board game that I'm trying to perfect. Full plug.
Russell's been rewriting the rules for this Pokemon game for like 4 years, so y'all get ready for the re-release.
Yeah, just wait for the re-release when Pokemon hires me, and then I'll be laughing at your.
And then you got to add 650 more Pokemon to the game.
Yeah, seriously. Well, anyways, another thing. Every card has potential, which I talked about earlier. I love that. I think it makes so much sense. That's why you don't have the sacrificing. That's why there's not the mana buildup at the beginning. You go immediately in and you're playing Blue Eyes from the get-go, and it could be defeated by a pig. And that's really great. And I think it takes away all that, like the chance of drawing a bad card or whatever. There is, I mean, it's a TV show, so it's a little bit of creative fateness. But still, it's great. It destroys friendships, like every good video game or board game does, and the holographic technology is incredible. What I don't like about Card Wars as a TCG, corn is a primary card type. Corn is overrated. High fructose corn syrup is killing us all very slowly. So putting that out there. You can attack on turn 1. I don't like
that. I didn't like that at all. Well, here's the thing. Is it unfair to attack on turn 1 if you have had the building of your kingdom already? That's the thing. That's like if you can pre-build your kingdom, you can attack on turn 1. But that's definitely why, like, a lot of those games you can't do that. It's because the other person hasn't had a chance to play any cards if you haven't had a pre-build turn.
Well, maybe I do like that you can attack on turn 1. That makes a little bit more sense. Something I don't like is that it takes 2 hours to go through just the basics, as Jake says. That's ridiculous. And then the game is over in a handful of turns. Again, 2 hours to learn just the basics, and then you have a game that lasts 5 minutes. Not worth it.
Yeah, I'd say that was the one thing. And I didn't have a full list of like what my likes and dislikes of it as a TCG, but it did seem like more than anything, it was similar to a Magic and a Yu-Gi-Oh, where it's like you can directly attack their life points, and or if they don't have any cards on the field, in terms of like character cards, creature cards, night cards, that you can attack like their life points. But Jake was like, you can attack me and I lose when Finn takes all of his characters to his side, and then when Jake takes them all back, he's like, I win. And it's like, you didn't really attack. It was just like, it made the audience very confused on like, is the game about like possessing the other person's
destroying
cards?
Land and then destroying monsters or taking. So basically like,
I
don't know. Cause at one point Finn does have nothing on the field because of the volcano card. So I'm not entirely sure.
And that's where it's like, well, the pig was like dead, but it was still on his side and it was like reclaimed. So it was very confusing in that aspect. Yeah. There is good news is, in spoiler drop, if you want to know, there is a little bit more intensive, I'd say intensive in terms of like getting to see cooler plays play out. I think it's season 6 or 7.
Are you about to say Card Wars comes back?
Card Wars comes back. Absolutely does.
Yes. Yes.
Jake, I'm just going to give you the whole spoiler for the episode, because like Jake and his daughter go on a trip to a Card Wars tournament where Jake like meets up with a bunch of people that he used to play Card Wars with like back in the day.
That's so good.
And it's so good. It's such a good father-daughter like dynamic episode. It's such a good, like, Jake's actually the same way, where he's like a dirty player and gets really back in his like old mean mugging Jake days. So Card Wars, this is not the last we've seen of Card Wars. And so I'm just to make you more excited about it.
That's great, man. Well, dude, I mean, freaking even the title card shows Jake being a little bit maniacal, which title card's great. You should go check it out.
Title card is Jake's game with BMO. Like, BMO looks very angry. And BMO's skateboard is on the tree in the background too.
Which is awesome, yeah. And at the very beginning of the game with Finn, he reveals kind of how terrible he is with the very maniacal hunting smile when he's like, oh, don't show me your hand, man. Like, come on. And then immediately floops this Silo of Truth, which allows him to see all of the cards in Finn's hand and steals one. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Which actually, like, that's actually like a card that's, I feel like, pretty common in Magic the Gathering, honestly.
Yeah,
like,
but you can't take a card after you see it. You can look at the card.
Yeah, it's a view their cards and make them discard one. It's not a view their card. And then on the opposite, it's like you can actually control their card for a turn, or you can. So there's two separate cards. It was just, that's kind of like an OP if you can view their cards and take one and use it all in the same turn. Again, maybe that's my qualm with it, is that there's too many like OP cards.
Yeah. But again, that was a pro for me because of the potential. But I definitely can understand why that would be like a negative thing.
You throw three OP cards in on the first turn, then the game's just over after 2 hours of explaining it, you know?
Yeah, I guess the hope is that every card has the potential to counteract another card if you know how to use it correctly. I don't know.
If everything's OP, then nothing is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the name of the game.
This whole episode is fantastic. I think it does a really great job of capturing that feeling of being completely in the zone, playing cards, and just being engulfed in a magical like world of creatures and spells, and they're all at your command, like every good TCG does. I really enjoyed that. The animation's fantastic. It keeps it moving. It's unique enough. And Finn, Jake, and BMO were all so dynamic the entire time in every scene. I'm giving this 4 flooped pigs out of 5.
Good. Okay. Now I thought you were going to say 4 flooped pigs out of 10, and I was like, okay, that's
maybe
don't do
4.5. Maybe 4.5.
This could be
I'm going 4.
4.5 flooped pigs out of 5 normal pigs.
Okay. For you,
floop me 4.5. Yeah.
You're going 4.5. Okay.
Oh, dude, this is. I would be. Well, I say I'm going to be surprised, but I've seen all the episodes in this season already. There are several coming up that I think. I'm looking back through episodes 1 through 13 because we're past the halfway point of the season at this point. I think the second half of this season is way more stacked with back-to-back good ones. Next week, we're talking about Princess Cookie, which never was one of my favorite episodes before until I really took the time to think about it. We're going to have a really good episode next week. I can promise you that. But then I'm looking back at, Goliad, Gotcha, Dream of Love, Web Weirdos, that this for sure at this point in the season is the best episode to come out this season.
Okay.
Followed closely by Return to the Nightosphere, and followed up by the season opener, Hot to the Touch. So if those are the best episodes that have happened so far, I've already looked and I'm like, there's already like 2 or 3 that are like, at least from the canonical sense of Adventure Time, like better than this one.
Well, I'm just super excited that there's another Card Wars episode. I even had that written in my notes. I was like, I gotta ask Ned, will it come back? I'm so glad it is. I am really excited to play Card Wars with Allie at the house at some point. And also very excited to release my Pokemon Master Trainer rules. So just watch out for that.
Yeah, if we open our Patreon, like you said, if we ever open our Patreon, look for Russell's going to post all of his 1,700 pages of Pokemon Master Rulebook.
I made it way worse than it already was.
And then you have to find a $500 copy of Pokemon Master Trainer at your local card shop. That
are you trying to say this is niche? Game. Am I going too niche?
You're going hyper niche with this one. That is not an easy to find game anymore.
I warned everybody that this was going to be a super nerdy podcast episode.
We already talked about ChatGPT. We can get ChatGPT to write us an app that is Pokemon Master Trainer.
No, I don't want GPT, whatever it's called, to replace me. Come on, Ned. I'm already scared enough of.
Wait, you're talking about Chat LGBTQ, right?
That'd be a fun chat.
Oh no, well, that's an almost cancel me joke, but that you got to admit that was kind of funny.
That's good. That's quick.
That's quick on the draw.
Quick on the draw. Now, what's your rec? I don't know why I stuttered so much.
I don't know why I stuttered so much.
What's your rec?
Honestly, well, I wrote it down. I was going to say Magic the Gathering, but honestly, I would turn my rec into like, do that thing with your friends that is involving, I don't know, being in person, doing something that's, I mean, trust me, I love video games. I love podcasting. I love apps. I love TikTok. I love FaceTimes, whatever. Do that one thing that just like gets you out there, whether it's trivia, whether it's Monopoly, whether it's board games, whether it's D&D. I would love to do a D&D soon. I don't think I've ever had anybody that's like an
I know y'all moved. We were going to do one, and then y'all moved.
I know. Well, have you written your Dungeon Master campaign yet?
Well, I'm not going to do it. It's way better in person. That is something that I've done.
Yeah, D&D I mean, I'll do
over the computer. Y'all going to move back up here,
and then we'll move D&D? Back up there.
Yeah, no, but you could do my rec for Ned's rec, which is pickleball. Yeah. That was going to be my rec.
One. Yeah,
it's fun. It's good. It's good sport.
I know. I feel like we are within 12 months of getting sucked into the pickleball world. I just have more and more friends getting sucked in, and I think by proxy of our community, we're going to get sucked into a pickleball.
It's coming for you, dude.
It's coming for you. I've been watching it, like very much kind of like that monster that's creeping around the corner. It's coming for me.
Well, I'm going to do it real quick. I'm not going to read this entire email. There is a little bit of a traveler's law this week. I know we're late into this episode, but real quick.
No, y'all keep if you're a fan, you'll keep listening. Like we're helping you on your car journey. We're helping you on your work day.
Oh yeah.
You might as well listen.
Well, I wanted to shout out Savannah. She wrote us a little while back a really nice email about, how amazing we are. I get it. We're just so good. No, but what was really cool was her talking about how she's been obsessed with Adventure Time since she was 12, and how it holds just a very special place in her heart. And her very first tattoo was a BMO tattoo, or maybe it wasn't her first, but she has a BMO tattoo, which is something that we've talked about time and time again. And it just feels like that's coming for me. It just feels like people are forcing this on me. And
Russell, I'm in Nashville on Saturday morning. We can go get BMO
let's
tattoos.
go get BMO tattoos. No, and it sounds like she has a whole leg worth of Adventure Time tattoos. She's got an artist. She shouted out at.
Can I ask Savannah for a picture of that without it sounding like really creepy?
She gave us Ned. I'll tell you what her Instagram handle is, because I think she has it on her saved on the top of her profile.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tattoo artist she shouted out is BURDXTURD, is someone that she goes to for her Adventure Time tattoos. It sounds like from him she's gotten Gunther and a death butterfly from the Dead World, and also she's getting the Demon Blood Sword in April. So
dude, a Demon Blood Sword to actually, man, okay. I was like, what are cool Adventure Time tattoos? Demon Blood Sword. That's badass. That's really cool.
Yeah. Well,
Savannah, you've been my inspiration.
Oh, you're gonna get that?
Oh no, you've been my. Well, now I'm like, oh, okay. I might do a sword-inspired adventure tattoo pretty soon.
Yeah. I was thinking about getting actually a thigh tattoo, and then I saw something on TikTok saying that thigh tattoos are the sluttiest tattoos for men to get. And now I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, my wife does not want me to get a thigh tattoo. I would I would,
because you would get something like, I don't know, like BMO on your thigh, and then it's like
probably so.
Yeah, it's like
no,
I don't know. That would be interesting to look at it all
no
times.
Hate out there, but the guys, that maybe a little bit of people. But I don't know. People shit on me. People shit on me, but the solo calf tattoos where you have no other tattoo on your body except for like the one on the center of your calf.
Oh, the back of the calf. Yeah.
That's. I mean, guys, if you have that, like, no hate, just go get more tattoos. Like,
Ned's
just don't let that be your only tattoo.
Ned's yucking your yums. He's got
I'll yuck that yum all day of the week.
Don't make me make fun of your tattoos. You got this really awesome Luke Skywalker. Never mind. Your tattoos are cool.
Never mind.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by, swinging by, checking us out, listening to us, hanging out with us. It's been another wonderful episode of Never Ending Adventure. We talked about something that I think is going to be in our top episodes for this season easily. Yeah. We've had a lot of people recently give us reviews, and we got stickers coming your way. There is one that I'm having trouble with that bounce back, but we're trying to figure it out, so let us know if you reviewed the podcast, and we will try to get you a sticker. Check us out on Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast. Ned, we need to talk about this, but maybe for our 100th episode, the day that it comes out, we plan a FaceTime at night on Instagram Live or something. So
if we could do we could definitely do a little Instagram Live. Both of us do a live session, Instagram Live. Just again, probably pretty similar to this episode where we're just shooting the shit.
Yeah, but then we could talk to people that could on live, say something to us. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll try. Yeah. We are going to try and make something about episode 100 special, and that could just be something we add to it, that night on the day that the episode comes out. We do a
except for the fact that we're going to be popping champagne on the podcast during the recording. That's going to be the recording day. Now, much less the release day, we can definitely do a little live and Insta Live with our fans for all. And I mean, dude, I'll Insta Live. I work from home all day. I'll Insta Live all day. Just let people join whenever.
Well, regardless, we're also on Sit Talk at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast. Email us your thoughts, your opinions. Get on the Traveler's Log at NEA.travelersLog@gmail.com. And thank you all so much. Great week, great episode. We love y'all and party forever.
You know that you guys don't let it much.